Name's Pierce. Detective Pierce. I've walked into enough rooms filled with silence to know that sometimes, silence speaks louder than screams. It was early November when I got the call. The rain had returned to the city with the kind of steady rhythm that reminded you of a slow heartbeat. Streets were wet and slick, glowing faintly under yellow street lamps. My office window buzzed with the soft patter of rain. I was halfway through my second glass of bourbon when the phone rang. Pierce? Yes. This is Lieutenant Marlowe. We've got something you might want to see. The address was an apartment on 5th, upscale enough to not be flashy, quiet enough to be suspicious. 5th had its reputation. Lawyers, doctors, people who smiled too wide and talked too little. Apartment 4B. Door was open when I got there, but the crime scene tape already fluttered like some kind of warning banner. Marlowe was leaning against the wall, cigarette untouched between his fingers. She's in there, he said. I stepped in. The air was still. Too still. She was lying in the living room, half-draped over a leather couch. Mid-30s. Brunette. Dressed in a silk robe like she just poured herself a glass of wine. No blood. No obvious signs of struggle. Name's Evelyn Hart, Marlowe said behind me. Lived alone. No signs of forced entry. No missing valuables. Glass of wine on the counter, untouched. Phone still in her purse. I crouched near her. No bruising, no wounds. Nothing but a slight tilt to her neck. Almost like she'd just fallen asleep. Poison? I asked. Maybe. Coroner's on the way. You see the rest? I walked through the apartment. It was spotless. Too spotless. People live in their spaces. You can smell it, sense it. This felt arranged, curated. Like someone had carefully removed the mess that makes a place feel lived in. On the nightstand, a photo of Evelyn with a man smiling, his arm draped around her shoulder. Frame was cracked. Not shattered, just cracked. Like someone had thrown it and then picked it back up. The bathroom door was half open. Lights off. Nothing unusual except a faint scent. Familiar. Almond. Sweet and bitter at once. Marlowe joined me again in the hall. Neighbors didn't hear anything, but the woman across the hall says she saw someone visit earlier today. A man. Tall. Gray suit. Didn't recognize him. What time? I asked. About 2:30 p.m. She was walking her dog. And time of death? Coroner estimates somewhere around 4. So whoever he was, he had time. I looked back at the living room. The position of the body, the glass of wine, the carefully arranged room. It wasn't just a murder. It was a message. A staged performance. And the show had just begun. Later that evening, I sat back in my office, notes scattered across my desk. I played the scene over and over in my head. The wine. The robe. The untouched dinner on the counter. Someone wanted Evelyn to look peaceful. Someone wanted her not to look like a victim at all. But victims don't just lie down and stop breathing. Something was missing. I called Marlowe. Did you get a name on the guy in the photo? Yeah, he said. That's Daniel Royce. Corporate attorney. Dated Evelyn until about a year ago. Any bad blood? Plenty. Breakup was messy. Her neighbors said he came around once in a while. Usually drunk. Bring him in, I said. When I met Royce the next day, he didn't fit the role of a killer. Or maybe he just fit it too well. Calm, polite, well-dressed. The kind of man who never lets you see what's behind the tie. I haven't seen Evelyn in months, he said. We ended things. Not well, I'll admit. But I didn't kill her, if that's what you're thinking. I watched his eyes. They didn't flinch. Were you in her building yesterday? I asked. No. I was in court until late afternoon. I can prove it. He handed over a printed schedule. Stamped. Signed. And yet, something didn't feel right. Back at the scene, I walked the apartment again, this time slower. I looked at the details, the patterns, the rhythm of her life. Then I saw it, tucked under the sofa cushion, a second wine glass. Empty, lipstick smudged. The glass on the counter was a decoy. This one, hidden, told a different story. Evelyn had a visitor, and she wasn't surprised to see them. She sat with them, drank with them, until something went wrong. I called Marlowe again. Get me fingerprints off every glass in that apartment. There was a piece missing, and that piece wasn't in the room. It was outside. The neighbor, the one who saw the man in the gray suit. I knocked on her door the next morning. Elderly woman, kind smile, nervous hands. Yes, I saw him, she said. He went in with a coat, but came out without it. Thought that was odd. Didn't say a word to me. Could you describe him again? She hesitated. Tall. Maybe 6 feet. Gray suit. He had a scar. Right here. She motioned to her jawline. I remembered because it caught the light. That wasn't Royce. I'd seen his face. No scar. Whoever this was, he was someone else entirely. The scar. That was the first real break in the fog. I had the neighbor sit with a sketch artist. The result was rough, but clear enough. Angular face, sharp eyes, mid-40s, distinct scar along the jaw. Not Royce. Not anyone in Evelyn's known circles. I passed the sketch to Marlowe. Run it through known offenders, parolees, private contractors. I want to know who that guy is. Marlowe nodded and left. Meanwhile, the lab results came back. Prints on the hidden wine glass matched Evelyn, and someone else. A match came in an hour later. Name, Calvin Stroud. Age 46. Occupation unknown. Last known address, a motel out near the industrial zone. Stroud had a record, assault, breaking and entering, and a 2-year stint for aggravated burglary. He'd been clean for the last 5 years, or at least quiet. No known connection to Evelyn Hart. So what the hell was he doing in her apartment? I drove out to the motel. Room 12. Cheap curtains, cigarette smoke seeped from the walls. Stroud wasn't there, but the woman at the front desk remembered him. He left yesterday morning, she said. Had a small suitcase and a coffee. Didn't say much. Looked nervous. Did he mention where he was going? Nope. But he left a map behind. She handed it to me. A city map, old and creased. One location circled in red. A storage facility in the southern district. It wasn't subtle. The storage facility was cold and quiet. Most of the units looked like no one had touched them in years. But Unit 39 had fresh footprints in front of it. I pried it open. Inside, a folding chair, 2 empty water bottles, and a black duffel bag. Inside the bag, gloves, rope, and an unlabeled vial. Clear liquid. Smelled faintly like almonds. Cyanide. I called it in. Stroud hadn't just visited Evelyn. He came prepared. The medical examiner called me an hour later. Toxicology confirms it. Cyanide. Likely administered in wine. So now I knew how. But not why. Back at the station, I pulled Evelyn's financials, emails, call logs. Something had to connect her to Stroud, and I found it. 3 months ago, Evelyn had wired $7,000 to a Calvin S. The memo read, "Final payment, no contact." It wasn't a gift, it was a transaction. She'd hired him for something. That changed everything. What does a woman like Evelyn want from someone like Stroud? I kept digging. Her emails were meticulous. Boring, even. Until I reached a folder called Archive. Inside, one thread. Just one. An anonymous email address. No name. Just a chain of messages. "You promised this wouldn't come back to me. Keep quiet, and it won't. I can't sleep. I think someone knows. Then you know what to do." The last one was dated 2 days before her death. I leaned back in my chair. Evelyn had been involved in something. Something big enough to keep secret. Big enough to pay someone off. Stroud wasn't there to kill her. He was there because she called him. Maybe to end it. Maybe to warn him. Maybe both. And maybe he silenced her. But then came the call that shifted everything again. "Pierce," Marlowe said. "We've got Royce." "What about him?" "Security footage. He was not in court that afternoon." He lied. I brought Royce in again. This time, less friendly. "I looked into your schedule. You weren't in court at 2:30. You weren't anywhere anyone could verify." He exhaled slowly. "I was near Evelyn's apartment," he admitted. "I was watching." "Watching?" "Yes. I didn't go in. I saw a man enter. He had a scar. That's when I left. I didn't want to get involved." "You followed her?" "Not exactly. I just couldn't let go." I believed him. But that didn't mean he was clean. So now the players were all on the board. Evelyn, the victim, hiding something and paying a man to keep it buried. Calvin Stroud, the man with the scar, caught on camera, in her apartment. Royce, the jealous ex-lover, spying from a distance, lying about his whereabouts. And the emailer, the ghost in the chain, giving orders and vague threats. One more piece was missing. Then it came. The phone records. Stroud had called one number repeatedly over the last month, always late at night. The number was a burner, but a second cross-check tied it to a known alias, registered once to a Denise Weller. And Denise Weller was a name from Evelyn's past, former coworker, fired under strange circumstances. No contact for 2 years, until last month. I looked up Denise. She changed her name. She now went by Claire Weaver. And she lived only 6 blocks from Evelyn. I went to see her. Claire Weaver opened the door slowly. Thin, sharp face. Measured smile. "I figured you'd come," she said. "Mind if I ask a few questions?" "Of course. But I didn't kill Evelyn." She poured tea. "Calm. Too calm. You used to work with her," I said. "I did. Until she framed me. That caught my attention. She blamed me for stealing company money," Claire continued. "It wasn't true. But she was sleeping with the boss. Guess who he believed? And now?" She got nervous. Tried to pay off people to keep it quiet. Maybe Calvin was one of them. I watched her eyes. Still calm. Still rehearsed. Something wasn't adding up. And that brings us close to the edge. We have a victim who feared her past. A man she paid to keep it hidden. An ex-lover spying from the shadows. And a woman who may have had more reason than anyone to see her dead. But only one of them delivered the final act. Claire Weaver's calm cracked the moment I asked her about the scar. "You mean on Stroud? I never met him. I don't know that man." Her hands trembled slightly. That wasn't the behavior of an innocent bystander. But I still needed proof. Back at the station, Marlowe's report came in. Stroud's scar was a knife wound. Old, about 6 years. I pulled up Claire's records. 6 years ago, a bar fight. Knife involved. Same scar. So Claire Weaver was Calvin Stroud. A name change. A new life. Why? Why the double life? Because Claire had been hiding and running. Running from the past. From debts. From the truth Evelyn threatened to expose. The email chain. That was her. The burner phone. Hers. I confronted Claire again. This time, no tea, no calm smiles. "You lied about your name, your past, and your involvement with Evelyn," she broke. "I didn't mean for it to end like this. I know. Evelyn was going to ruin me. I paid Stroud to scare her, to keep her quiet. But something went wrong." "Something?" She looked away. "I didn't know he'd kill her." But the truth was buried in the evidence. The cyanide. The timing. The secret meetings. Claire's plan was to intimidate Evelyn, not murder her. But Stroud took it further. And Royce? He was there too, not as killer, but as witness. Fearful, jealous, but not murderer. So, what do you think happened that night in the apartment on 5th? Was it a hired killer gone too far? A desperate woman's plan unraveling? Or something else entirely? Before I tell you the final truth, take a moment. Think. Piece it together. The truth is clear. Claire Weaver, once Calvin Stroud, orchestrated the plan. She wanted Evelyn silenced, at any cost. Stroud administered the cyanide. Royce was a shadow on the sidelines, trapped by his own demons. Evelyn Hart's past caught up to her in a final, deadly confrontation. I'm Detective Pierce. Remember, in every case, the devil is in the details. And sometimes, the people you think you know aren't who they seem.